Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's July 8th, 2025 Willow City Council meeting. First up, we will have the Pledge of Allegiance by Chief.
Salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States. One nation, under God, indivisible, with justice for all.
Thank you, Chief Monk. Next up, number 3, roll call.
Mayor Hudson,
Present.
Vice Mayor Thomas.
Here.
Councilmember Hanson,
Here.
Councilmember Pride. Here. Councilmember Busby.
Here.
Thank
Okay.
you.
City Manager, any changes to the agenda?
Yes, if it pleases the council, I wanted to recommend that discussion and action calendar item 7A, council's 25 strategic priorities, be moved up above presentations. So it would be the next item on the agenda. And then after that, just follow the regular agenda, if that's okay.
I don't have a problem with it, Council.
Perfect. Sounds great.
Sounds like everyone's in agreement with that. With that, we will move ahead and start with item 7A, discussion and action calendar item. I'll read this real quick. All matters on the discussion and action calendar will be discussed and acted on individually. Individuals wishing to speak on these items are asked to complete a speaker card and submit it to the city clerk. Comments should be directed to the mayor and council members and limited to 3 minutes. By law, the council cannot discuss or take action on items not listed on the posted agenda. Item 7A, council's 2025 strategic priorities. Marty, do you want to do an introduction or?
Just really quickly, as the council may all recall that Giovanni Trisseri, right, Giovanni, was the council's facilitator for your 2025 council priorities. And that was earlier this year, back in March, I believe, May, sorry, thank you, Giovanni, in May. And so this is the culmination of everything that came out of that 2-hour workshop in May. And Giovanni's back here to present it tonight, and hopefully the council will want to adopt it as well. So with that, I hand it over to Giovanni for his presentation.
Thank you, Marty, and thank you, Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, and City Councilors. I want to present to you, before you, in your packet, you have the report from our May 5th work session. And the purpose of that session, and really of this report, is to reaffirm the city's long-term vision that they set last year in 2024, reflect on the progress made since the original report, and then in light of the passing of Measure I, refine and focus the council's policy priorities for the next 2 to 3 years. It also is to provide city staff with clear direction on what the council wishes to prioritize while empowering staff to determine how best to implement those priorities. I have a slide presentation up, and for those online as well, if we go to the next slide.
I have to restart it. Sorry about that.
That's right. Well, once we as we get that up, I'll keep on going here. And so, if you remember, what we did look at is that we had revisited the priorities that were set. Really, from that 2024 session, those priorities had not changed, but there were a little bit of some tweaks to it. What the council decided to do was prioritize financial stability, economic development, public safety, infrastructure improvement, and quality of life. And so what I want to also reiterate on this, and the report really is intended to be this policy framework. From here, the staff will create a work plan, really take the input that you would adopt at tonight's session and create a work plan to see what is feasible, what is the financial impact for each of these priorities, and how they can implement them for the next 2 to 3 years. Next slide. So those priorities remain the same. What we did do, if you remember, was we took community engagement and took it out as one of those priorities and made sure that that is not just a standalone initiative, but rather an essential strategy embedded across all priority areas. So that was part of that day's discussion. Next slide. What we did was we then took those, after our refining it, looking at the priorities that had been completed, for instance, the passing of Measure I, and looking at ones that were more long-term, that would probably be more 10 to 20 years, and refine those that would be about 2 to 3 years. What we did after that was we took those goals that are outlined in this report, and I asked you to rank them. So we had a ranked vote, 5 points for your first choice, 3 points for the second, and 1 point for the third. And I know that was a hard decision for each of you to really be able to rank those. And this report reflects that. So what came out of that council priority ranking, the next slide, is the first one that received 12 points from that system was to develop a single point of contact for business outreach and a business support center. The second one was to invest in the startup of the Willows Police Department. And now each of these have initiatives under them, and in the report, in the full report, you'll see suggestions and recommendations that were given and were highlighted during that session. So I took the comments that each of you made to support those and put them as recommendations and ideas that would then guide the staff work plan. The third is to fund the general fund reserve and apparatus replacement plan, seek cost savings and revenue generation opportunities, invest in deferred maintenance, implement the community improvement plan, streets, sidewalks, lighting, expand youth and adult activities. And for example, we talked about a children's librarian and potentially a youth role, and look at if that would be feasible, and then complete and refine the municipal code update to support business growth. So as you see in here, the reason why financial stability stayed on top as the first priority was that received the most points, and that was funding the general fund reserve, seek cost savings, and invest in deferred maintenance. So those combined together, that was the most points for that one section. So that priority still maintained on top. The rest of the report, if you can go to the next slide, really highlights in detail what those goals are. I won't go into them in detail here. I'm assuming that you have read the report and looked at them, but I'll just highlight the structure of those. I put down what the goal was, for instance, fund the general fund reserve and apparatus replacement plan as the top one in that category. And the purpose of that goal, why it mattered to this council that we do that, and then those possible initiatives that were identified during our May 5th work session. And so each of those goals has that structure. I want to open it up for any questions on that. But before we do that, what I would say, we're just going to the next steps. And it goes into a little bit more detail towards the back of the report. And that would be that it would need to be adopted by the city council. And then it would go to the staff for the development of a work plan. And so they will look at what's the feasibility, the cost impact, and they would present that plan to you at a later date. And then we would look at regular progress and reviewing. So the reporting and accountability, that was important to this council, that this plan would not just be something that would be in a piece of paper and put on a shelf, but that it would be constantly looked at and reviewed regularly at your discretion, but that there would be really looking at the milestones for that work plan. Communication and public engagement, again, was highlighted as a big priority. And so that needs to be one of those next steps, really looking at how we communicate, that is up to the staff, what they're looking at. I know that we had discussed issues as far as updating the website and making sure that there was a lot more clear of a communication channel to the public. And then also, we talked about really that focused follow through throughout, not just prior to this work session, but and throughout the session. The council had talked about really making sure that we are focused on a few really clear goals that we want to achieve so that we can have some measured success. We could really promote that success, but that it would, because resources are still tight, that we would make sure that the staff would be would have that clarity from you all. With that, any questions that you might have on this report?
Councilmember Thomas, any questions?
Not at this time.
Councilmember Brad?
I didn't have any either. It was very comprehensive and I thought you did a good job putting it together.
Thank you.
Councilmember Busby?
What Lori said.
Great.
Councilmember Hanson?
I think, Mr. Mayor, great job, Giovanni,
Great.
as you did the first time. I was extremely happy with Plan 1 and relatively happy with Plan 2, but good job. And you're right. Yeah, just the 3 decisions, that was tough.
Yeah.
It was tough.
Yeah. Was.
But we got there.
You got
So,
there.
Good job. Thank you very much, and excellent report.
Great. Thank you.
I'm talking about the real report.
Yeah.
Good job.
Thank you.
Thanks, Giovanni.
I don't have any questions. So at this point, I'd open up for any public comment regarding item 7A. Okay. Seeing none, I would like to say thank you. It was very well put together.
Great.
And really appreciated the time that you spent here and listening to us for the 2 hours and taking away what we were trying to put out there. So
Great. Well, thank you. It was a pleasure.
any other
There's an
comment?
action item to adopt.
There is, yes.
So I would make the motion that the council adopt the 2025 Strategic Council priorities provided and discussed this evening.
Second.
Got a first and a second. Is there any further comment from the council?
Mr. Mayor, just had a question in reference to adopting the plan. Does that, Lori and Rick, does that include the staff recommendation in reference to item 1 as well with your motion?
Marty's comments in the staff report is what you're referring to,
Yes,
Jerry?
yes, the staff report, yes. The staff recommendation.
I understand the concerns outlined in that staff report. I think we need to still pursue that item. What it looks like may be thought out in the actual work plan that staff presents, but I wouldn't want to amend the report with that item as it was just in the staff report. I think that would be part of the work plan that the city manager put forward with the concerns that she noted in the staff report as part of the work plan.
Okay, well, thank you. That's my question, because if I would support the plan as submitted, with the exception of item number 1, due to the reasons stated in the city manager's staff report.
So we have an amendment. Is there a second for that amendment?
Yeah, I'll second that.
Okay. Any further comments or discussions on the amendment to the original?
You can give me a moment. I'm
I'm trying to find it to read it again.
trying to refine that.
Maybe Gary, you could state the motion, exactly what you want the amendment to read.
Sure. Yeah, thank you. Move to amend the original motion to approve the to approve the Strategic Council Priorities report as presented, with the exception of item number 1 as referenced in the city manager's staff report. As there are currently, due to budgetary constraints, and there are currently a number of staff members that would be able to handle those types of matters. Is that clear?
It is. So in a sense, we're saying that's no longer a top priority.
Yes.
So would that be replaced with the staff recommendations for the enhanced visibility and promotion of the pre-development meetings?
That'd be the council's call. I'm just opposed to, I'm in favor of the staff report. Accepting the plan is submitted with the exception of item number 1. I'm opposed to item number 1.
So just for clarification, are you wanting to remove item number priority 1 completely, or are you wanting to just move it further down the list?
Yeah, I prefer to remove it completely, but I could live with moving it to the bottom of the list this time. Financially, we can't afford that right now. Hire a staff person to be present in the office.
Go
Dan?
ahead, Matt.
Yeah, so my support for this is a little bit different than Gary's. I think it's well noted that there's no magic bullet. There's not like this is uh casting a really wide net with one position. I think it's much more nuanced than that. And so to adopt it as outlined is not a strategy for success, in my opinion. I think it needs to be developed, and I do think that it is a priority, but I don't think the way it is. I think the staff recommendations are on point in that, like, hey, this is a big thing. Planning, engineering, and building, all that. It's kind of weird to put it all in
Well,
one person.
Which is, yeah, I concur 100%. Those comments.
Well, the issue I have with it is that we all voted at the workshop and it got the most points. So by moving it, now we're saying it's not important anymore. I think it's still important. And I think in the work plan that staff develops, they can say the exact things the city manager laid out in the staff report that says this is still a high priority of the council. In fact, it was the highest priority by our voting process. However, we are constrained by our financial limitations at this point in time. To me, that doesn't mean we're going to take it and bury it as a low priority and say we've suddenly changed our mind that that's a high priority for the city. It's saying the reality is in our work plan that staff is going to be developing, we're going to address the realities that this is a top priority. We are still financially constrained. Doesn't mean we're going to forget about it, but we're going to do it in the way that the city manager maybe outlines in her staff report by doing the pre-business meetings and those sort of things. We're still doing it. We're just not doing it in a large scale. I'm totally opposed to at this meeting taking something we spent hours on and just saying, oh, let's throw out our top priority and move it to the bottom of the list because we don't have a lot of money. We could say that about every item on this.
Well, the purpose of this discussion is to make any amendments. Like I said, I'm in favor of the city manager's staff report recommendations. So I think you just said that, Lori. So I could live with accepting the staff report as presented, which is what I said, and still keep the item on the list. That's fine with me. But like I said, this is not the time to move forward with that. Marty, I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor.
If I could just offer, perhaps, I mean, maybe this would be a compromise that would work for everybody, leaving it as the same priority, but maybe wording it something like develop a strategy to offer a clear, I can't even read my own writing, contact for business outreach and business support center, clear methodology. So develop a strategy to offer a clear methodology for business outreach and business support center.
That
And
addresses my
keeping it at the
yeah.
top of the list.
That addresses my concern. I'm for that.
I agree.
Fine.
Kind of what I said to begin with, I think.
So we'll amend Gary's amendment to state,
How about we do this?
repeat that.
I will withdraw my second and we'll let Lori or have it restated the way you want it to read it.
Kind of stick with my original.
Or we should have it restated.
So if someone else wants to make a motion, feel free.
So, sorry, Marty, can you say that one more time for me?
Sure. Develop a strategy. So it'd be adopting the report as is and with one amendment that amends and changes the policy goal number 1 to develop a strategy to offer a clear methodology for contact for business outreach and business support center.
So moved.
So just to be clear, the motion on the is to approve the recommendation in the staff report with the amendment of item 1 being changed to develop a strategy to offer clear methodology and support system.
Clear methodology for business outreach, for contacts for business outreach and business support center. So I took the second half. Really, all I was trying to do was just amend the single point of contact because that's the part that I think is challenging for us here to provide. So I was trying to keep all the rest of it exactly the same, but basically instead of a single point, a clear methodology that we would come up with it via the work plan.
And where exactly in the report are we changing that verbiage? I mean, is that in the report or is that just in the policy goals on page 5?
I believe it's just 5 because I didn't see it unless I missed it. I didn't see it mentioned anywhere else other than on page 5, as you pointed out.
Well, on page 8, under Economic Development Goal 1, establishing a central resource for attracting, supporting, retaining business, why it matters, possible initiatives, designated staff member.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
There's a whole goal.
The whole number 8, just rephrasing goal 1. So it would be the same because that's the same verbiage. So just rephasing that the same way as I just said for page 5.
So we currently have an amendment on the table with a first and a second. I'm assuming, Gary, you're acceptable of amending it the way
Yeah,
that Marty had
yeah, absolutely.
suggested, and you're still
Absolutely.
in favor of seconding, correct?
Right. I
Okay.
am very much in favor of this as a priority. I like that we need to clean up the language around the mechanism.
So can we say with the exclusion of trying to appoint a single staff person to that role?
I would say it would be the verbiage in goal 1, develop a single point of contact. That language would change. A possible initiative to identify designating a staff member is simply a possible initiative. It's not saying we're doing
Yeah,
that.
that's the, we're discussing. The goal 1 is what
Just
we would
leave it
change to develop a strategy to.
So instead of
Okay.
develop a single point of contact, it would be develop a mechanism, the verbiage, which I don't remember what y'all said, but
So Gary's motion currently is to accept the report as is with the one amendment of changing economic development goal 1 to develop a strategy to offer clear methodology for business support and outreach.
Yes.
Clear as mud? Okay, so we have a first and a second on that. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. Motion passed 5-0. Okay. Marty, you got that?
I got it.
Oops, somebody
Sorry.
does.
Thank you. I'll get to work on the work plan.
Kathleen, do you got that? Yeah.
It's recorded, so.
Perfect.
May make a follow-up with that. I'd like to see that the planning commission and the library board also receive a complete copy of this report.
Absolutely. Yes.
Okay, moving on. Next up, item 5, presentations. We have 2 tonight. First one is in regards to PACE. We will receive a PACE presentation. Marty, will you open that up and introduce our guest speaker?
Yes, I will. So I was approached by Home Run Financing to present to the council the opportunity to participate in the PACE program, which is basically solar in a nutshell, right? You're going to get into it a lot more. And so presenting for Home Run Financing is Gabe Hulbert. He's here this evening and he'll be giving you the presentation, and then there'll be an opportunity. Obviously, eventually it would take action if it interests the council to participate in the program. So there'll be an opportunity at the end for council to give me any direction if you want me to come back with a resolution to participate in this program. With that, Gabe, take it away.
Thank you, Marty, and thank you, staff, for the opportunity to present. So if we go next slide.
Okay. Give me a sec.
In 2008, the California legislature realized that in order to make for the state to meet the goals they had set for their climate change goals, that there needed to be an option for low to middle income communities to be able to finance these home improvements, and created property assessed clean energy as a result of that. So what PACE does, in essence, is enables homeowners to affordably finance these property improvements, and it is then repaid through a special property tax assessment. And what that enables us to do is be able to have them included, and also, because of FICO scores being lower, be able to make that assessment based on equity and property and ability to repay. Next slide, please. So the benefit for homeowners of this is that, as I mentioned earlier, the eligibility for homeowners is based on the equity in their property and their ability to repay instead of the FICO score. So other methods of financing for these often have upfront costs, big down payment requirements. With PACE, it's $0 down, and it's a fully fixed and amortized rate over the course of the assessment that's repaid through property taxes. Now this enables the homeowners to experience the efficiency and resiliency that was initially intended as the state legislature passed. So there's been some impactful changes to PACE. The big one is AB 1284. It passed in 2017, and it is a big comprehensive legislative and regulatory package of PACE. It, among other things, created ability to pay as part of underwriting standards and requires us to verify income. And it also created the state's Department of Financial Protection and Innovation, the DFPI, as the regulator of PACE. So now, as of 2019, all PACE administrators, including my company, Home Run Financing, is regulated by the state of California like many other financial institutions. Next slide, please. You have numerous consumer protections with PACE. So any homeowner that finances with us is going to get a recorded terms confirmation call where we will have customer support staff walking them through the terms of the assessment and ensuring they understand it. Every homeowner also gets a 3-day right to cancel. It is made to 5 days for homeowners over 65. And we also don't pay our contractors until we have not only had a certificate of completion with the homeowner that's signed, but we also do a recorded closing call where we confirm that the work was done to their satisfaction. And we also look at stuff like permits being completed as well before we pay the contractor. And I mentioned it there, there's numerous things we have to do with contractor management. So any contractor that works with us is going to have to go through a background check. We check their social media. We make sure they're licensed, bonded, insured. And in order to be able to offer PACE as a financing option, contractors have to undergo a mandatory 6-hour training with us about the code of conduct, marketing guidelines, and ensuring that by doing this, we're keeping any bad actors out of our business. And we also have compliance teams that do all the onboarding to check this and ongoing monitoring as they continue to do business with us. Next slide, please. So you'll see here that there's not only numerous consumer protections, but also features that you won't find with other traditional methods of financing that you will find with PACE, be that a home equity line of credit or unsecured debt like a credit card. Next slide, please. So there's over 80 eligible improvements that people are able to finance with PACE. Big ones here, the big categories being energy efficiency, efficient HVAC, windows and doors, the renewable energy, so backup batteries, solar panels, EV charging stations, water conservation, so low flow shower heads and water fixtures in the home, drought tolerant landscaping, and also not listed here, as well as seismic retrofits in California are also eligible. Next slide, please. So to date, this is what, as a result of residential PACE, what's been able to happen in California. So that's $6 billion that's been invested into local communities. That is private dollars. Each of the cities, and next slide, I'll show you some of the ones around you that do have this financing option. There's no taxpayer dollars involved with that. And you get all these benefits to work towards your environmental plan and goals. As I say, no taxpayer dollars, and it's all private dollars that come into your community as a result of it. Next slide, please. You have many surrounding areas that have opted into CSCDA's open pace program. So you're the only one in Glenn County, I believe here that hasn't opted in yet, but you have numerous around the state. And recently in May this year, the city of Rockland and Placer County joined as well, seeing this as an option to benefit their homeowners and also work towards their environmental goals and economic development goals as well. Next slide, please. So in order to make this available to your homeowners, there's the CSCDA, the California Statewide Communities Development Agency's Open Pace program. The cool thing is that Willows has already been a member of CSCDA since 2003. There's other financing, municipal finance programs that they also offer. So you're benefiting from those currently if you've joined in the past. Now, home run financing, we actually received interest from a homeowner who'd like to use PACE in your community, but isn't able to. That homeowner was on Glenwood Lane. Now, it's easy in order to make PACE available. All that would be needed, because you're already a member of CSCDA, you would just need to join their open PACE program. That can be done with a resolution at a future council meeting. And that's the end of my slides. I'd be open to questions, and thank you for your time.
Thank you. Councilmember Thomas, any questions?
Question, what is the rate in terms? Now, obviously rate probably floats, but you say it's a fixed rate.
Yes,
Is-
it's
is it
fixed.
Market rate or
So
points above?
it's as the rates fluctuate, so will ours. The average one, and I can give you, and I will say average because it depends on different parts of underwriting criteria. Right now, our average is 949. And that is a competitive rate for homeowners that maybe don't have the best FICO score. And when comparing to things like home equity line of credit or unsecured debt.
What's the term?
It is tied to the useful life of the improvement. So if an HVAC has a estimated useful life of 15 years, we cannot have a 20-year term on that. It can only go up to 15. It is tied to the useful life of the improvement.
Based on your numbers, it looks like the average is about 25 grand. Is that correct? Based on your,
25, like
25,000 per improvement.
Project.
you did $6
Project.
billion and 238,000 homes. That works out to be about $25,000.
it would depend upon the improvement. I'd be happy to give you numbers there, but I would there.
Well, this would just be the average. So, guess 25 grand isn't too bad over 15 years.
And it depends on the improvement. Some will be higher, some will be lower, but I'd be happy to give you more information on that.
So if somebody did like a new roof that has a 30-year lifespan, their loan could be for 30 years for that roof, then is what you're saying?
Up to 30
Up to-
years.
Okay.
And also 30 years is the most we're allowed to have by law.
So it says in 2020, AB 1551 and AB 2471 prohibiting prepayment penalties on PACE properties with a reverse mortgage. So if I sell my house in 5 years and I have a PACE, do I have a prepayment penalty?
No, you can pay it off then, and a lot of people do.
Can it be assumed by the buyer?
That is part of something. As I say, there's disclosures. We have a confirmation terms call. That is something that is disclosed to homeowners when they decide to do a PACE assessment.
So they could have it assumed by a buyer.
It is something we make them aware of in both our contract and also the welcome call as well.
I don't think I got the answer to the question. Can it be assumed? Yes or no?
I want to make sure I understand your question here.
Well, I have a house that took a PACE loan. It's 10-year amortization. I sell it in 5 years. Can the buyer assume the spot or do I have to pay it off?
The buyer is told that they would either have to pay it off at the time of sale. And yeah, that's part of,
Oh, so it's
That
not
is-
assumed. Okay.
that is part of something that is disclosed in our welcome call.
Is there a prepayment penalty
No, there is not.
on anything?
On anything, they can pay it off as early as they would like. And there will be no penalties associated with that.
Okay. No more. Nice.
Thank you.
Turn back to you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, Councilmember Pride?
Similar question. So the lien is put on the property tax and paid through the property tax assessments. Is there also a lien put on their title report for the title to their home? So that it's very clear when they are buying a house that there's a PACE loan out there? Because tax bills aren't automatically pulled and people don't always disclose. They're supposed to, but they don't always disclose a PACE loan.
At this point, PACE has been around long enough that that is typically something that title companies look for.
Okay. And then I had read something that after 2010, PACE loans or liens can sometimes be an issue for lenders when people are buying or selling a house. So if the seller can't pay it off, buyer can't assume the cost, then that has to be resolved some way because it can't be assumed per the conversation with Vice Mayor Thomas. But what if the seller's selling and they don't have any room and they can't pay it off either? Can that actually compromise the sale?
The
of a
PACE,
property?
PACE loans were intended to be transferable. Now, most of the time in practice, they're usually just paid off when they're sold.
Okay, but we just asked the question if they can be assumed, which would be transferred.
Yeah, they can be transferred. Yes,
Be transferred.
they are. It is transferable.
Councilmember Busby?
Nope. They asked the questions I was gonna ask.
Councilmember Hanson?
Oh, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, just real briefly. Yeah, thank you for the presentation. And, you know, this is an option to those who would have difficulty obtaining traditional financing to make improvements. So, City of Willows is the only municipality, well, of our three municipalities of our two cities in the county. So this is allowed in Glenn County, correct? It says unincorporated. That means in the county, correct? Right
Correct.
now, and also City of Orland. So how long ago roughly did Orland and the county approve?
I
PACE?
wouldn't have that information
Okay.
handy, but I'd be happy to find out and
Okay.
provide it to you.
I'm just curious, and I see in Butte, your report in Butte County, with the exception of the cities of Biggs and Gridley, the entire Butte County is participating. So, and I see Colusa County is not participating. Any idea why Colusa County isn't participating?
I'd be happy to get you an answer
Okay,
at a later
all right.
time.
No,
on that.
I just, thank you for the presentation. Very interesting concept. So thank you.
Thank
Go
you.
ahead. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Of course. So my one question is what happens if they default on their payments and they stop making, they're not able to make property tax payments? How do you guys go after them? Is it through the property tax, like a lien essentially? Or
Through the property tax collector.
and so then that'd be tied in with their property taxes. So I'm assuming it'd be paid. Rick, this might be a question more towards you. Paid through their escrow when they make their monthly mortgage
Yeah,
payment?
what we also do in our welcome call is we tell the homeowner that if they do pay through an escrow account, we do suggest in our welcome call that maybe they should contact, if they do pay their property taxes and insurance and other items through their escrow account, that they have an additional amount withheld as part of it every month.
Okay.
I would assume if it was put on after a mortgage and the mortgage went in default, the mortgage would wipe out the PACE lien.
Mhm.
Before anything else was paid out, right?
Mortgage would be the first position.
My concern would be where would the city fall if there's liens on the city? Because we're discussing homes that are in most likely some sort of disrepair because the homeowner is not able to get financing or doesn't have the money to do that, right? So if we do an abatement on the house and we have to do cleanup and we have a lien on the house, does that mean we're still in front of the PACE loan or are we being kicked further down the list?
Further down the list, but it's the teeter plan.
Yeah, the apportionment. Yeah.
Don't you know?
So it seems like a great philosophy. It does. Like I said, that would be my one kind of concern with it is
Several communities that had it. It doesn't seem to be too much of a problem for.
it isn't.
companies.
Okay.
Yeah, no, this is something actually that the DFPI looks at. The default rates compared to other products is rather low.
Okay. Interesting.
It is something they look at.
Also, if the council is interested in having this come back, certainly staff can research who would be first or second in line if we had a lien and also you know, there was a lien from Pace on a property, because I don't think we do not, that's a double negative, get our property taxes because there's another lien on it. I don't see how that would work like that. Do you think, Andrew, that it?
Well, generally, government tax liens have super priority. So that.
But I can research that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's something interesting.
I just,
Yeah, I'd be happy to provide an answer
Okay.
for you on that.
no, like I said, I agree with all my colleagues here. It seems like would be a great option for, our community. We fall into that category, so I have no further questions. Does anybody else have any more follow-up on that?
Nope. No,
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, thank you.
Perfect.
Thank you for your
Thank you for your
presentation.
time.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you,
Great
everyone.
information.
Guess
We-
it would be a recommendation from the council to the staff to proceed.
Yeah, direction to staff to proceed and see if we can get some more information and bring it back for an agenda item.
Okay, we'll do.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks,
very much.
everyone.
Thanks. Drive safe.
Thanks, Gabe.
Okay. Next presentation, item 5B, Glenn County Arts and Culture. Receive the Glenn County Arts and Culture presentation. Marty Brown?
Yes, so the presenter is here, Joser Rosales. I don't know if you all remember him. He's spoken here before the council about getting off the ground a Glenn County Arts and Culture organization, some sort of structure here in Glenn County, which we have not had before. And so he wanted to give you an update on the progress, right? So with that, Joser?
Thank you, Marty. Thank you, Willow City Council, for having me today, this evening. Appreciate your time. My name is Jose Rosales. I'm from Orland. I own a business out there for 15 years, tattoo parlor. I was found through the Creative Corps from Tehama County, and that's how I met up with Nevada County. They noticed there was a hole in the North State. We were the only county out of 19 North State counties that did not have an arts council. Orland does have the Arts Commission, which I believe is privately run through Orland and their funds. But there was no like county presence with arts and, arts council. So they found me, they saw the stuff that I was doing, and they had tried to come in here previously and it didn't work out. So they got me, and it seems to be working out. We've gotten all the support. So I appreciate your guys' support letter that we received from you guys. I've also presented at the BOS meetings, and they supported us as well as school district, all the Unified School District. They helped us out too with support letters. So we're getting support, Willows Chamber of Commerce, Orland Chamber of Commerce. So our vision is to I guess what they liked about me was that I was still in Orland, and I was bringing in NFL players, NBA coaches, boxing champions, and not only that, just doing all around good work. So they saw that and they're like, well, why is this guy still here? Kind of. And so, and they, and that's kind of what I wanted to show too, to the rest, was that you can live in a small rural community like Orland, Willows, in Hamilton City. And, Hamilton City got that NFL player. So there's talent here. But how do we showcase that? How do we encourage them? How do we inspire them? How do we motivate them? And I think with arts and culture, that's the way to really, drive that inspiration. So that way young adults or young youth can take pride where they come from. And, that can be anything, where they're, cleaning up the city. And not only that, just also beautifying it with colors and art. There might have been a misconception of what they were trying to do when they first initially came. There was a lot of apprehension because the money was coming from the state, but they were just trying to show us that there's money at the state level that we could get. And in turn, they put some of that money in my pockets, where I was able to teach some mural classes and put up a couple murals at some schools, the public schools there at Mill Street and Fairview. And I also did it in a certain way that was at that age group where it wasn't too complicated for them to really break it down, something they could go and mimic. As far as skill group, usually at that age group. And, I did it during hours, school hours, after school hours, during Spark program. So a lot of kids were able to come out and actually see it. So I was able to engage with these kids. Some of them recognize me. So that's always good to inspire those that because at the same time, me growing up, sometimes art wasn't really pushed with me. My parents go get a real job, right? And so it was up to me to. And now I actually showed them. They're like, oh, okay, you're actually doing pretty well, right? So there was nothing there really before me to show me. But with with vision, and heart and dedication and discipline, it can happen. So that's kind of like what we want to do, is show the talent here in our county, showcase it, whether we're putting on events or we are partnering up with already happening events. Like we were at the Lamb Derby, and we got a lot of good feedback from people there, and they really wanted more stuff. So we want to bring programs like for veterans or the elderly, whether it's painting or other types of creative stuff. And which was good because we actually had a listening session at the Glenn County office, school office over here, just a couple blocks away. And only one person attended. And in Orland, 0 people attended. So, but I'm getting all this feedback that they support it and they support us. And I get it. People are busy. And so we don't always got the time to show up and talk ideas. But we definitely don't want to just show up and start doing whatever we want to do. We were trying to get feedback from the community. So like Hamilton might have something different going on than Willows and Orland, and so forth. Willows has something different going on than Hamilton and Orland. We also want to get out to Elk Creek, try to get out to Princeton. And we don't want to just paint walls. We also want to there's all types of different type of talent where people can, and again, it might not be life-changing money, but there's money that we get from the state is only going to get into someone's pocket, and they're end up going to go buy something at the store, buy some ice cream, go to a restaurant, and again, and it shows them how to be, again, maybe make a living off of it, and building those programs where we can educate them how to market, how to use, social media and things like that. So, we're excited. I'm excited about this. And again, I also was just out Sacramento and with my mentors from Nevada County, and I was able to, we were advocating for the arts. So I was in there. We talked to I already forgot his name, Gallagher. Is his name Gallagher, right?
Mm-hmm.
We got to speak with him. He was part of the Arts Council in Yuba Sutter. So he was on the board over there. We also spoke with Heather Adwick out of MODOC. She was on the, so we had some good, what would you call it? Allies that have been involved with the arts. So we were advocating because the state of California gave us some money, but then they went in and took $5 million out of money that was already allocated towards us. And so, and the same thing with cultural districts. We want to build a cultural district here. I believe we qualify. They've been telling me I qualify, or that we qualify. But their money was taken out of that as well. That was already allocated for cultural districts. So these would bring money and jobs, create a couple, part-time jobs for people. And so, again, there is a positive economic impact. What I learned over there too was that in California, we have the 4th largest economy in the world, and 10% of that, of the GDP in California, they stated was from the creatives and the arts. But yet we're the 37th least funded arts program or state in the country out of 50 states. So we probably make more money than every other state, but we're almost last, from the funded. So, I believe that could change because everybody seems to be coming to California. We're like the hub for arts, whether it's movies or other type of stuff. So again, we're just trying to here to show and give hope to the communities that make up Glenn County, that we do have talent, and how do we showcase that talent to the rest of the people? Because not only that, once we showcase them, then maybe they start getting phone calls and they start seeing that positive in their talent and their skills. And, and if we can teamwork and unite, then I think, sky's the limit. Not only that, again, just bringing people together to have a good time, I think is the number one thing too, as well, and showcasing talent and bringing people together. I believe that might be it. Other than that, again, we're just looking for support and, how can we help and, what is needed in each community here that makes up Glenn County. You have any questions?
Councilmember Thomas, questions?
Not at this time, no. Thank you for your efforts.
Thank you.
Do you have a website or anything where people can look and see what events you're doing, or?
Yeah, we currently have a website. It's glencountyarts.org. And it's right now it's up and going. We don't necessarily have a calendar as of yet, but we are making up one. So that way, not only are we going to showcase maybe what the Willows Chamber of Commerce has an event going on, we want to showcase all the events, whether it has something to do with us or not. And then maybe, somehow try to, showcase or highlight which ones we are a part of. But right now we're just we're still in our second year of mentoring. So we just applied for that second year of mentoring grant. So, we'll see what kind of programs we do build up and put on that website.
Perfect. Councilmember Busby, anything to add?
Thank you. Thank you for community building. Thank you for what you do.
Thank you.
Councilmember Hanson?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. No, good luck. Yeah, thank you for coming and presenting. There are a lot of potential artists out there in our community, as you know, and you're no slouch as a tattoo artist either. I'm sure you're most likely an excellent artist. I think you have to be in your business. So
Yeah, it helps.
yeah, what's the name of your business?
My name, the business is called Explosos Custom Tattoos.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. Very good. No, thank you for the presentation. My mom and dad both studied art at Chico State, and we're outstanding artists. And my son has the gift naturally, and my granddaughter does too, and my wife's pretty darn good too. I can't draw a straight line with a ruler. I was a criminal justice major,
Yeah.
but I can draw a heck of a stick man though. But I mean, there's a lot of artists out there, and it'd be really great to see a lot of these young folks, utilize that and turn it into productive living. It'd be fantastic. So yeah, I admire what you're doing. Yeah, good luck. Like I say, there's a lot of artists out there. So very good. Thank you.
Thank you. And one thing, with the help with you guys, we're able to collectively to leave our mark. I wore this shirt on purpose because, we want to leave our mark, our legacy. So like, helping other people, shine, not only and make the community better. Not, you might not have been the one picking up the brushes or stuff, but just with your guys' support, we're able to leave our mark. Like I was a part of that, I helped that happen. And then you see the happy faces on the community that people do enjoy it and like it. And I believe it does make a positive impact. So I appreciate all you guys. Thank you.
So I got one question for you. How can the city of Willows help?
Well, we definitely, one thing is, brighten it up with, like, I know sometimes there's buildings that maybe need a coat of paint. So instead of just painting it, if they could donate the wall, like, hey, we have a wall that's on this street and it's a busy street.
Mhm.
Then they could be like, we'll let you do something here and, we'll donate this wall to you guys and you guys can come in, and again, working with whoever's working with, like the ones I did at the Mill Street was the mental health awareness. And the one I did at Fairview School was environmental health awareness. So each one kind of was showing that type of stuff. So we can always make a positive, and again, to our community, whether we do some race cars and there's Thunder Hill, right? And kids
Yeah.
love race cars and, adults
And-
love cars.
Yeah.
So, if there's something showing that could also encourage people to go on out there. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Let's go. Right. And then, and also bring up those young kids when they see those cars, they might want to go out there as they get older.
Okay.
And then people just passing by and they see it. Oh yeah, there's something out here. So with that, and also like, bringing up ideas, contacting us and saying, like, hey, we have a lady here, because we can also put to work people who want to teach something like a quilting class. I'm just throwing out an example, a welding class, but in the arts sense or culture sense. I've been in some art shows where there's been some welding exhibits made out, and I was like, wow, bless you. And and they're selling for like hundreds of thousands of dollars, and I was just like, wow, like that doesn't look like much, but people are out there, there's a market for it. So, if they could direct those talented people to us. That's another thing. It's like, hey, I know somebody, and then we can see how we can utilize them and put them to showcase, whether they're teaching a class and at the end there's a project that gets demonstrated or put up in the community. So I think that, donating the walls and the space to do this, like in Orland, we have a place that's being worked on right now, still needs some work, but we want to have like some after school stuff going on there, like after school. We already have the after school Sparks program, but maybe for like high school kids where you can come in, learn graphic design, learn computers. So if there's a space like that here in Willows that someone can donate, where it's like low cost, it's not being utilized, and we can go in there and maybe, put somebody to teach some classes here. And so there's a couple of things, just looking for people who want to help, local talent and spaces where we can do work. I think those three things would probably be the best things.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Mr.
Well-
Mayor. Oh, I'm
Yes,
sorry.
sir.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Yeah, Stacy Bencourt teaches welding at Willows High School, and there's some really talented students that go through that program, and she's pretty darn good herself. But interesting what you said about metal art. That's what my dad did when he wasn't farming. He was brazing metal art, and just gave it away. I never did sell a piece, but he was darn talented. There's a lot of folks around, these ag counties that know their way around a torch and a welder. So yeah, very interesting, very good.
Thank you. Thank you. One thing I almost forgot to add, we will be doing a poetry night. That's one caveat that does come with the grants that we have to do, which is throw on, and it's a national poetry thing. So it's like a contest. So we start local with the high schools, and they have to recite, I think, 2 to 3 poems, and they all doing the same poems. The kid gets to pick which one they want to recite. And then from there they go on, and it's national. So the further they go, and it's a fun, even if they don't go, the people get together, the kids get to learn public speaking and doing things like that. So, and it's a fun. So, I haven't been a part of one yet, but that's something that we will be doing as well. So welding, writing, cooking, carpentry, those all different. And then there's also not just the arts, but the cultural aspects too, which I think are tied together a lot. So.
Well, awesome. Sounds like a great program that you're involved in. And it's, another opportunity to get kids off their cell phones. So I appreciate your work that you're putting into it.
All right.
So
Thank you.
that's really awesome. So,
You're welcome.
with
You're
that,
welcome.
does council have any recommendations or directions that they wish to give?
And find you a wall.
Yeah, appreciate it. Well, at schools would probably be the best because that's what there's public, and the kids in the future get to see it. So
We'll add something in the newsletter as well with the link to the website and the things that you just mentioned that would be helpful from the community, and people
I
can
had a big one.
reach out via the website, correct?
correct.
Yeah, so
Correct.
we can try to generate more interest through the city's newsletter as well.
That would be awesome. Thank you very much.
Some honkers would look really good on these walls.
Yeah.
City Hall building.
Exactly. Now we're talking. That's beautiful. All right. Thank you very much. Appreciate
Thank
your
you.
time. You guys have a good evening. Thank you.
You do the same.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Good luck.
Next up, public comment and consent calendar forum. All items on the consent calendar are considered routine and may be approved with a single vote unless removed for separate discussion by the council or city manager. Individuals wishing to speak on consent items or matters not on the agenda are asked to complete a speaker card and submit it to the city clerk. All remarks shall be directed to the mayor and council members and are limited to 3 minutes. By law, the council cannot discuss or take action on items not listed on the posted agenda. Okay, here we have item 6A, register approval. 6B, minutes approval. 6C, city chambers use policy and application. 6D, CDS consulting. 6E, exempt public safety employees overtime authorization for strike team and pre-positioning. And 6F, library board appointments. I will give it to the pleasure of the council. Councilmember Thomas?
Question on CDS consulting contract. While it seems costly, is that general fund money or paid through the grant funds?
It would be paid through CDBG program income funds, which are the result of the recent over-the-counter loan that was paid off by Rumiano Cheese.
So it comes out of that fund.
Correct.
Thank you. That's it.
Okay, Councilmember Pride?
No questions.
Councilmember Busby? Councilmember Hanson?
Nothing, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, with that, we'll look for a motion.
Mr. Mayor, move to approve the consent calendar as presented.
Have a first?
I'll
Second.
second. I'll give it to Matt. Matt can have it.
Councilmember Busby seconds. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passed 5-0. Okay, discussion and action calendar. Already read this, but all matters on the discussion and action calendar will be discussed and acted on individually. Individuals wishing to speak on these items are asked to complete a speaker card and submit it to the city clerk. Comments should the mayor and council members and are limited to 3 minutes. By law, the council cannot discuss or take action on items not listed on the posted agenda. We will start off with item 7B, wayfinding signs, street name signs, and LED stop signs. This will go to Mr. Betancourt. What do you
Hey.
got for us?
Well, good evening, council. Kind of some art related stuff here in the form of wayfinding signs after our presentation. So yeah, today we're looking to authorize the city manager to expend $40,000 on the items you noted, along with the street name signs. We'll also be looking at stop signs in that as well. So that includes stop signs and street name signs. First, the replacement and installation of the wayfinding signs at key entry points and intersections will help direct visitors to destinations like City Hall, the library, downtown, and museum, improving both navigation and economic visibility. This effort is funded through $5,000 from a PG&E grant that the city was successfully awarded, and the remaining $4,729 in the Greater Willows Improvement League Fund. So this item was brought back up in the past with the remainder of the GWIL funds by Councilmember Sprague. We currently have wayfinding signs located on Wood Street to the east and west of Lassen, and on Tehama Street to the north and south of Sycamore Street, and then one little wayfinding sign pointing to the museum here on Lassen Street in front of City Hall. So we would look to replace those signs. We kind of took the idea from looked at our historic downtown parking signs and kind of tried to mimic a design related to that. We're open to suggestions for that. We plan on taking that to the planning commission for their opinion on how to design those signs. And the downtown museum, library, and city hall were the four options we looked at installing wayfinding signs. And also if funding allows, in addition to replacing the current wayfinding signs, we'd be open to installing new ones. One of the ideas was to put them on the north and south end of Tehama Street, where our current monuments are located that show our different clubs and organizations. And I believe you guys have some example mock-ups that we gave to you for potential wayfinding sign designs. Second, the street name and stop signs item. Many of these are just faded and make it, the safety element obviously is there when you can't see the stop signs due to being faded, and the aesthetic appeal of having faded names can make it hard to get around for people that don't know the area and also are just not aesthetically pleasing. So this would enhance the visibility for motorists and emergency responders, and just support consistent design standards citywide. And so that estimate would be to replace all of the road name signs and stop signs citywide for the 22,000. Finally, we have the LED stop signs at County Road 57 and 99. This is brought to the attention to staff by Councilmember Hanson, noting that there's been several fatal vehicle accidents at that intersection. So this was discussed at the Public Safety Committee meeting, where we had John Wanger, our city engineer, and as well as the sheriff's office involved in the conversation, who all supported the idea as well. Currently, those stop signs have a flashing beacon that normally you'd see on kind of a road closed barricade or an A-frame barricade. The problem with those kinds of beacons is, number one, the visibility isn't the best. Number two, they can the batteries run out of them, so they have to be monitored constantly, batteries changed out. So basically, you've got a safety issue if somebody's used to seeing that blinking beacon and it goes out, doesn't activate. Now we've kind of created an issue within itself that wasn't there before, and they also don't activate well in the fog. So the idea would be to replace them with LED stop signs that are both solar powered and have a battery backup. So if the solar panel is not getting enough light through the wintertime, that battery backup would operate and keep it going. And then being LED flashers, they have a very good life expectancy for them. So that's the three purchases we're looking to make. And with that, I'll take any questions.
Excuse me. Councilmember Thomas.
One of the things that our business district has constantly been looking for is freeway access signs on the freeway directing folks downtown. Now, Marty and I worked on a letter and we're sending it out to the owner of that ugly billboard that sits out on 99 or out on I-5, asking permission to see if that into the property, see if it's actually viable to be restored. And if so, if we could refurbish that sign. And we've asked, since it doesn't generate a revenue for him now, we've asked that if she would please consider granting us the privilege of putting the sign on it without a fee. So I think one of the things we really need to look at is signs for driving folks off the freeway. And also, my brother came to visit and he came down Wood Street and he was looking for Pacific Avenue and he drove past it 3 times because he couldn't read the sign. So street signs
It just,
is something that,
Yeah.
since I joined this council, I kept wanting to get those things replaced. So I'm actually happy to see that on the agenda.
just a note on that, I believe the stop signs approaching Wood Street would be a Caltrans purview on that, and I believe the street name signs as well would be. So we were putting in a maintenance request for that. We don't know if they'll be able to get to those before.
As hard as they are to deal with, and it's just replacing an existing sign with the exact same thing, why would we need Caltrans permission?
No, the stop signs and the street name signs.
Oh,
I believe those fall under their jurisdiction, as approaches to state routes are usually under the Caltrans jurisdiction, but almost every one of them on Wood Street is.
so the street
stated.
name sign budget isn't to replace Pacific Avenue and all the rest of them that are so faded you can't read going down Wood Street?
I think that would be a Caltrans jurisdiction. I bet is the way that goes.
Don't you mean just at Wood and
Just at
Pacific?
the approaches to Wood Street.
Yeah, not all the other Pacific Avenue signs.
The only one you
are
can't
directly-
read is the one at Pacific and Wood.
Almost all of them, you can't read it on
can't
Wood
read
Street.
Wood, yeah.
Yeah. So Wood Street, as I understand it, unless I'm mistaken, any approach to a state route would be under Caltrans.
But we can confirm that. Like the one that's at David's Corner, Baden, that Pacific Avenue there, I was there recently and I couldn't read the sign at all. And that's not at an approach, so that would qualify for this funding.
But yes, the Wood Street ones are all in very bad shape.
But we'll figure it out, and if we can't use our funding for it, we'll put in a request to Caltrans to get them replaced.
Please do.
Yes.
Councilmember Pride.
That raises a question, just how many street name signs can we do in the amount of the budget that we have? And do we have a list of priority ones? I know I've had people mention the ones, even the directional signs here at City Hall are hard to read and just getting kind of dilapidated, but
Yeah.
do we have a list?
So for the street name signs, basically what they do is that they've got the city broke out into 4 zones. So zone 4 being the biggest zone. So we could take 2 approaches to this. We could look for the worst road signs to change out and then mark them on a map to know that they're done. And at the same time, we would do the stop sign in that area most likely, right? So maybe we do that the other way around just for time saving measures. While you're at the intersections, you do the stop signs and the road name signs. So we could do it by zone or we could do it by zone, basically knock out all of zone 4 and then move on to zone 3, move on to zone 2, zone 4 being the biggest. I think, yeah, I want to say it had 60 or 70 road name signs in the zone. So we could attack that in a couple different ways. If we get approved to do the whole city, it might make sense to do it in a zoned approach, but we could also take a little more effort on staff to drive around and examine the worst ones.
Just to clarify, Joe, the budget was to include how many
The
road signs?
it would-
Was it for the whole city?
Yeah, it's for,
Yeah,
so it'd be
got
all
it.
the stop signs and all the 22,000 would be all of the name signs and all of the stop signs. Yeah.
So it'll all get done.
Yeah. But just how yes, absolutely.
I thought we might have to prioritize and not do them all.
No, it's,
Question, but if
it-
we're doing all of it.
no,
that's
it-
When
fine.
we found out how much it was going to cost, I was like, we just do
it's
it.
not
and
that
get it
bad.
done.
Yeah.
And it's not general fund money, so.
And I know in the past when we've replaced street signs, some people want to buy the ones or get the ones that are on their street. So that's something to also think about, just how we would want to handle the old ones,
Yeah.
because people like those.
Yep. And there's, they're usually aluminum, and aluminum does have a pretty penny on a recycle rate as well. Instead of, because we'd have to go through a public bidding process, I think, for all of the giveaway stuff, unfortunately. But I know in the past with stop signs where I've worked, we've definitely saved them up, took them to a giant scrap recycling party, and the stop signs with that as well. But yeah, this is something we can look into.
Think about.
Yep.
Councilmember Busby.
Yeah, so to the wayfinding signs, I think one of the biggest pieces of feedback that I get both from the Thunderhill side as well as the community side, a tremendous amount of our dynamic revenue comes from transient folks coming into town, stopping off of I-5 and everything like that. A lot of the businesses that are downtown, they're constantly hammering us to try to find better ways of getting people from Thunderhill to downtown. I think a lot of the wayfinding stuff, we've got some of them out there, but they're they kind of serve people who live here, right? Like, so people who know where they're at. I think if we could kind of put a lot of bandwidth behind these wayfinding signs happening at the I-5, somewhere near I-5 frontage on and off ramp. The other one is how tricky is it to get it over on the Nancy's and Walmart side? I think that's where a lot of our traffic ends up going. They come off the interstate, they make the left, and then they just bypass all of our signage, all of our efforts to get folks to come in and see why we're special. I know that can probably get tricky. I'm sure there's some jurisdiction stuff, but we get a lot of people to stop at Walmart.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's, if you're in the Caltrans right of way, you're going with an encroachment permit through Caltrans. As far as opportunities to work with maybe a private entity or a large entity like Walmart to put wayfinding signage, I believe a lot of the GWIL funds and some of the, the I-5 interchange funds and all of those things came from the Walmart development to push people downtown. So then that's maybe a good way to go to not have to go through the Caltrans permitting process on the west side of the off-ramp out there. And definitely something that we can look into. The Nancy's Airport Cafe side would be a county-owned property out there. They lease that building from there, and the airports are often kind of tricky for signage, just from past experience, but definitely an option. And then I think investigating something at Walmart exit entrance that is off of the Caltrans right of way might be a great opportunity to partner with the private business to kind of continue that relationship of, we know you're a big box retailer, but help us push people into our downtown after they're done at your facility. So that's, I think, something really good to look into.
Thanks.
Councilmember Hanson.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. No, I had basically the same question as Lori had. It's $40,000 enough to cover all the signs? Because, I mean, this is simply deferred maintenance, right?
Yeah.
And, the signs look, many of them look absolutely horrible, community pride, that's a huge step in getting a little community pride. But, for example, Tama Street, Kent Road 99 area, darn near every sign down that corridor is just atrocious. Will this also include the refurbishing the old Highway 99 historic signs? The southbound, there's one in the area of Willow and Tama southbound. It's probably in the best shape. The sign that used to be the south end of Willow's north of 57 for northbound, it's gone. It disappeared. But those signs are all in terrible shape. But so the budget would allow for all street sign and stop sign changes?
Street name signs, so your directional street name
Right,
sign
street name,
and stop.
right,
Yep.
yeah.
We didn't include those historic 99 signs in the budget, but I think they are pretty small, if I'm not mistaken, right? They're kind of,
They're not very, no,
Yeah,
they're about the size of a speed limit sign.
yeah. So we can probably include that into it. I don't know if we'd be able to use the RSTP funds out of that, but we may be able to use some of the GWIL fund for that, because I don't think those will
They're
cost
just
much at
about-
all.
The signs are in such terrible shape.
Yeah, I
You know,
saw them yesterday. the other
the
day.
speed limit sign on, south of in the area of Kent Road 53,
Yep.
northbound Tama Street is just, it's so
Brought that
it's
one
terrible
up
looking,
the other day.
and also while you're at it, the crooked sign at the end of Harvest Drive, the end of roadway sign at 99 and Harvest Drive, the sign's fine. It's like the Leaning Tower of Pizza. It kind of looks, wonky.
Yeah.
I'm sure the south wind blew that over when the ground was saturated here a while back, but no, I thank you for bringing this forward. And, my concern was 57 and 99, pursuing the high visibility stop signs there. And so you'll go with the solar type
Yeah, correct.
signs as indicated.
So yeah, it would be a solar with it's a battery, I believe, inside of the stop signs that are a little thicker. So, or on the back of it. So solar charges the battery. So when you're in low light situation, that battery keeps it going. And then the solar recharges that battery. So it's a kind of a two-way fail proof situation.
And they're large signs
Yes.
as well.
Yeah,
very
these
large
would be, I
signs.
think have to be 36 inches if I'm not mistaken at a 55. So
It's just that intersection and it's so dark there as well, but
Yep.
it's, and of course, stop signs, as we know, having stop signs does not prevent individuals who aren't very smart through running them and causing collisions. But But at least, at least this way we can be proactive instead of reactive, not to if it happens, but when it happens.
Yep.
So let's be proactive on this and do the right thing and get some high visibility stop signs, especially, individuals who've never been in the area before. It's so dark out there. And like I say, the current signs are just, the visibility is terrible on it. But no, I'd like to see all of the poor condition signs citywide replaced. I'm surprised with this budget you can do that, because boy, there are a lot of stop signs that are really faded.
Yep.
Been around for 40 years or more. But anyway.
And what we're estimating, it's I think a good estimate, and we may have additional funds if this is approved to knock out some of those additional signs using the RSTP funds available, like 35-mile-an-hour limit signs that you're speaking of, and kind of do an assessment overall with remaining funds.
So anyway, that's all I had. No, thank you. Thanks.
So
Thanks, Joe.
on this, I have a couple things. Love the idea. It's a great idea. Needs to happen. Couple of suggestions from a safety standpoint is Old 99, since the city's in charge of that. I don't know if there's a way to do it, and I don't like comparing us to our counterpart in northern Glenn County, but when you pull into Orland on 99, their 35-mile-an-hour sign lights up when you're going too fast. I would like to see something like that, both coming from the north and the south on 99. I feel like a lot of people, especially coming from the south, come flying into town, and I think that would draw that extra attention outside of putting like a speed bump there, to kind of remind them to slow down. It wasn't just a couple weeks ago that another young kid was hit on a scooter. So there's a way to make sure that we're keeping everyone safe. I think that'd be a priority. And I will leave it to the council to make the motion and the decision on it, but I would be okay with if we have extra funds to possibly allocate to make sure that we do get the right speed signs put in place there.
Probably most likely. You're referencing like the flashing, you're doing 41,
Whether it has a speedometer in or not,
or
just like,
they have the red and white ones, or
yeah, just something to draw their attention. It doesn't necessarily have to say, hey, you're going 45, because they got a big speedometer to tell them how fast they're going. They know.
Yeah.
Right. Just drawing attention that, hey, we know,
Yeah.
you're going the wrong speed limit. I don't care if it's just caution lights. I think there's some that just do caution lights around it when you're going above the speed limit. And then it turns off when you're going the right speed. Just something to draw attention that, hey, you're coming into a 35-mile-an-hour zone. Kids are walking to that, the grocery store at Marval and stuff like that. So that'd be one suggestion. And then we discussed wayfinding. I don't know. It's along those lines of directing people to our downtown and things like that. It's not really street signage. I don't know if there's a way for us to confront, you mentioned Walmart, of saying, hey, can we put a poster of the city of Willows and put something on there like what's in Willows? I know we used to get the big laminated ones a while ago. It's been quite a few years, over 10 years, where we sponsored big, I want to say 4x3 posters, and I had the entire city on it. I don't know, something along those lines. Then kind of showed, hey, this is our downtown district. These are the eateries that we have there, that we can hang up in, really common public areas, well, not public, but
yeah,
heavy foot traffics, Walmart or any other places. Yeah, Walmart, or at the outside the gas station, something, just something.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, most of the traffic's through the four corners.
Yeah,
gas
yep.
station.
So yeah, something like that. It might not be a car see it, but people are getting gas or something else. They might get hungry and see that and see something that says, CB Kitchen, carte blanche, send them to some of our downtown spots and see what happens from there. But with that, no, I love the idea. I am shocked that you're able to get all the signs for the amount that you're requesting, but I will leave it up to my cohorts up here to see if there's any additional funding that's maybe needed along the lines to make sure that we take care of the safety side as well.
I would like to just recommend that if we move forward with what's here and we come back with a separate item, if it pleases the council, and let us price it and look at all the different options and the source of funding, confirm we could use RSTP money and just come back with a separate item rather than, because we don't have any idea right now what that's going to cost, what you're discussing.
Yeah,
And squeezing it into this already priced out project,
yeah.
I just seems like.
It can
you
come
know,
across as a
money,
separate,
We can
yeah.
come back again with this.
Yeah.
type-
Please do.
Yeah.
Hmm?
Please do.
Okay. I mean,
So we want to,
that's one council member's.
so we want to,
Yeah,
well, I'm thinking approve this and that just be a separate item at that
Yeah, we'll
point,
bring it
right? So
back,
then you
yeah.
can, okay.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, and yeah, I agree with Rick. Could it be soon? Soon?
Yeah. We can
Get this
price it
done?
relatively
Yeah,
soon.
it shouldn't take
Well,
that.
this is going to all start happening. Yeah. But
Because-
pricing that, yeah.
I'm
that-
talking
Yeah.
about the second item
Right.
coming before the council.
I mean, what we're looking to do with these signs, obviously wayfinding will take a little longer. There's going to be some design element to it. We're going to, want to really make sure we do it right and get what we want for it. With the street name stop signs, LED stop signs at 57, we're going to be ordering those, and usually you get a bulk price discount. So as long as we have storage, which we do. 'cause
I
we've got
think
a yard.
Gary meant, could we do the soon item, the additional? item
Yeah,
there?
I'm just-
I don't know how long that would take to price out and bring it back.
It'd be on like the next agenda items, sort of.
July 22nd.
Yeah, we could probably, these kinds
I
of
know you got a
things-
lot on your plate. I'm just,
Yeah,
work
no,
this- that's
it's
the
not like a
question.
custom, usually too much of a custom deal with these. You get a hold
Mhm.
of American Traffic Supplies, or one of those people, and they'll be able to price it out pretty quickly. They're not custom made things. My point was too, with just this ordering the signs and everything, maybe we get lucky and I'll be able to tell you that we have additional budget within this, and we were under on the 22,000, because we will know that true cost,
okay,
on the stop signs and the LED signs relatively quick.
perfect.
Just a quick question. The sign at Villa by the county office of ed, as you approach the stop signs at the intermediate school,
Uh-huh.
that one turns like, it looks like there's a police car pulled over. If you're going over 25 miles an hour, even from way back at Sycamore Street,
Uh-huh.
you look ahead and it looks like someone's pulled over. If you're going, it's red and blue flashing light.
Might have driven past it just to be a looky-loo and there was no one pulled over.
Yep.
Mhm.
Is there a
Yeah.
wow. But it's just, and it's got the numbers on it, but it's very attention. I don't know if that's an office of ed sign or it's. a
Sheriff's
city
office.
sign.
Sheriff's office
That's
sign.
what put it in there,
Sheriff's
yeah.
office, they move it around. It's very
Mhm.
effective. Yeah.
Sign.
And I believe,
Yeah.
again, to the town to the north, I think Orland might have had those originally at 99. I do remember
Mhm.
them at one point, and then they ended up changing.
It was
to
and yeah, now it's a permanent thing and
Yeah.
that's kind of what, yeah, but yes, it'd be,
Yeah.
yeah, that's kind of where I was going with that.
Yep.
So with that, is there any public comment regarding item 7B? Okay, seeing none, I will give it to the pleasure of the council.
Move to authorize the city manager to proceed with the procurement of wayfinding street names and stop signs in the amount of not to exceed $40,000.
Second the motion, Mr. Mayor. No, you want it, Matt?
Gary got it first.
You can have it, Matt.
And we have a second from Councilmember Hanson. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. Motion passed 5-0.
Thank you.
Okay. Next up, item, thank you for bringing that up. That's a good one. So next up, item 8A. Public hearing. All matters in this section of the agenda are formal public hearings and will be acted on individually. Individuals wishing to speak on these items are asked to complete a speaker card and submit it to the city clerk. Comments should be directed to the mayor and council members and are limited to 3 minutes. If you have any documentation that you would like distributed to the council, please give it to the city clerk for distribution. Item 8A, multi-jurisdictional hazard mitigation plan 2025 recommendation. I will pass this over to you, Joe, to give us a quick brief on it.
All right, good evening again, council. So yeah, we're asking to adopt the Glenn County multi-jurisdiction hazard mitigation plan. This is actually an update, a 2025 update to the original plan. It is the official hazard mitigation for the city of Willows and incorporated as the safety element into our general plan. This was developed with Glenn County, the city of Orland, along with obviously the city of Willows and other local partners, and outlines and coordinated strategies to reduce risk from natural hazards. So basically, we're looking long-term at things that we can try to accomplish as funding allows. And some of our main things are obviously flooding around the town during major storm events. We are decently close to the Sacramento River. So and also local fire suppression, handling that through vegetation management. And Chief Monk does a great job of getting grants for that. So it's a risk assessment grant. Adopting this plan improves public safety, ensures compliance with state and federal requirements, and positions the city for future hazard mitigation funding. So this document is required. It gets approved through Cal OES and FEMA. The update has already been approved by Glenn County, Cal OES, and FEMA. And one of its goals, besides planning for the future and mitigating hazards, is it is a required document to receive money from Cal OES after natural disasters occur, and also can give us money to achieve some of the things on our list, which, like I said, storm drain improvement, vegetation management, things of that nature. With that, I'll take any questions.
Okay. Councilmember Thomas, any questions? Councilmember Pride?
Nope.
Councilmember Busby?
Nope.
Councilmember Hanson?
No, Mr. Mayor.
And I have none either. With that, we will go into public hearing at 7:25. Bueller, anyone? Okay. As there has been adequate opportunity for the public to be heard, I close the hearing to further public comment at 7:26. Any members of the board have any questions or further comment? Councilmember Pride? Councilmember Busby?
Nope.
Councilmember Hanson?
No, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Okay. With that, I believe in order.
I would move that we adopt resolution next in line, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Willows adopting the Glenn County Multi-Jurisdiction Hazard Mitigation Plan 2025 as the official hazard mitigation plan of the City of Willows and amending the general plan to incorporate the Glenn County Multi-Jurisdiction Hazard Mitigation Plan.
Seconded.
I have a first and a second. This will be a roll call vote, please. Sorry, is there any further discussion? Okay, roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Pride,
Aye.
Councilmember Busby,
Aye.
Councilmember Hanson,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Thomas,
Aye.
Mayor Hudson,
Aye,
motion passes.
perfect. Okay. And with that, we will go into item 9, comments and reports. Any council correspondence? With that, I did receive a letter from CMS based on the letters that have been sent, particularly one be sent on behalf of the city. Says, thank you for contacting Medicare. We received your letter dated 5/19/2025 regarding your support for Glenn Medical Center's critical access hospital designation. Thank you for sharing your ideas to keep Glenn Medical Center an available location for your area. We have entered the information into our database so that the Centers of Medicare and Medicaid Services can review it. While the Centers of Medicare and Medicaid Services take all the feedback they receive seriously, you may not receive a callback about your ideas. We apologize for any inconvenience. Thank you for sending your correspondence to Medicare. If you have any questions about this matter or have other Medicare concerns, you may visit medicare.gov or call 1-800-MEDICARE. That's 1-800-633-4227. TTY users should call 1-877-486-2048. Sincerely, 1-800-MEDICARE Customer Service Representative. This was received on July 3rd. And then I also received a notice from, or an invitation, I guess, regarding Glen Colusa Irrigation District's 105th annual anniversary celebration on Friday, 9/5/25 from 9:30 to 1 p.m. So with that, that's all the correspondence that I received. City Clerk, did we receive any more correspondence?
No.
No more? All right. With that, we will go to City Council comments and reports. Councilmember Thomas.
None to report at this time.
Councilmember Pride.
No report.
Councilmember Busby.
No report.
Councilmember Hanson.
Yeah, thank you. Just real briefly, I'd just like to congratulate the Willows Chamber of Commerce on a great fireworks show. And thank the Public Works and Fire Department staff for all of their help in putting that together and getting everything ready. And also, let's not forget the cleanup. Because I do know I ran into a few folks that from Chico that were over here watching our fireworks show for the first time because of obviously the Esparto warehouse fire and the Silver Dollar Fairgrounds show being canceled. But anyway, it was a great show. The unlawful illegal fireworks were not good, and that's a problem that we'll be bringing up to city manager here soon privately. But anyway, I do know the sheriff's office was very busy that night on a lot of call volume, and in no way am I putting any damper on the sheriff's office. The job, excellent work they did over the 4th of July weekend, providing services because they were extremely busy and got it done. But just the unlawful fireworks are just absolutely atrocious in this community. For some reason, I don't understand it. It is a misdemeanor, but anyway, enough said on that. But good job to the chamber. And just lastly, I'd like to publicly thank Pedro Bobadillo, who just recently resigned after nearly 5 years in the Planning Commission and several years as chair. Pedro's a good, solid, well-grounded, intelligent man, and he served the city of Willows extremely well as a planning commissioner. I'm sorry to see him go, and wish him the best. I know he's a busy guy with his career, and he's also still with the city, thank God, and as our recreation manager. But Pedro just did an outstanding, he did an amazing job on the planning commissioner. Just like to thank him for his dedicated service to the city. Job well done. So that's all I had, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. And I have nothing. Well, I do have one. I just want to say that really heartfelt sorry for the families that lost loved ones in the Esparto fireworks facility fire. It's a tragedy one way or the other, no matter what, and how you look at it. It's a dangerous gig handling those. They're not something that you can put out. So, and they burn hot. So, that everyone had a safe 4th of July. The Willow show was spectacular. I'm able to view it back. Yeah, the illegal fireworks are very pretty to watch. Just try and keep them out of the city limits. It's too much of a hazard with the trees and everything else that we have around here, and easily can catch something else on fire. So just glad to hear that everyone had a safe 4th of July. And Councilmember Pride has something to add.
I do when you're done. I just didn't.
No, that's it. I'm done. DUN, done.
Well, I completely forgot, but with Rumiano cheese leaving our community, I know Holly Meyer did a really nice tribute on the wall of her at the window. And I thought it would be nice if the city would do a proclamation or something to celebrate their 106 years in the community of Willows and everything that they did for the community of Willows. I don't know who's still here that could accept that, but I think a public acknowledgement of Rumiano would be something that would be nice to bring forward at some point.
Second.
I agree. Good
With-
people, good family.
Yes.
With that, we will go to city manager's report.
Just very quickly, this will be my last reminder that we have a joint city council and planning commission meeting this Thursday, July 10th at 5:30 p.m. to receive an overview and a facilitated discussion by our contract city planners, Harrison Associates, regarding Title 18, which is our zoning section of the Muni Code, to get input, direction, feedback from both the council and the planning commission together. So hope you all can make it. Thank you.
Thank you, Marty. With that, we will be going into closed session. Is there any public comment for any of the closed session items? A, conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation, section 54956.9, significant exposure to litigation pursuant to paragraph 2 or 3 of subdivision D of section 54956.9. 10B, conference of legal counsel, anticipated litigation, section 54956.9, significant exposure to litigation pursuant to section 2 or 3 of subdivision D of section 54956.9. Or item 10C, conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation, section 54956.9 initiation of litigation pursuant to paragraph 4 of subdivision D of section 54956.9. Seeing as there's no public comment, we will go into closed session at 7:34.
Good to go.
We will be returning from closed session at 8:31. And I'll hand it over to the city council. City attorney.
Thank you, Mayor. So the council met in three items in closed session. The first was a conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9 subdivision B, significant exposure to litigation pursuant to paragraphs 2 or 3 of that subdivision, one case, and direction was given to staff. The second closed session was a conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation pursuant to Government Code 54956.9 subdivision B. Again, significant exposure to litigation pursuant to paragraphs 2 or 3 of that subdivision. And one case, and direct report out was direction to staff. And then the final was a conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation pursuant to Government Code 54956.9 subdivision C, initiation of litigation pursuant to paragraph 4 of subdivision D. And the report out is direction given to staff.
Perfect. With that, we will adjourn this meeting at 8:32. Have a good night.
Stay classy, Willows.
Light us.